Over the last decade, superhero culture has taken over the world, but only one franchise within the genre used its narrative to hold up a scathing mirror to society using sharp, cynical, political, and cultural commentary in its narrative. That franchise is The Boys. So what if after 3 seasons, we went back to the college years? My name is Ren, and this is my spoiler-free review of Gen V. Welcome back, superhero fans. Thank you for joining me to discuss the first spin-off to one of my favorite ongoing series in The Boys, Gen V, which expands the universe into Godolkin University, the superhero-only college where students train to become the next generation of heroes, preferably with lucrative endorsements. Beyond the typical college chaos of finding oneself and partying, these kids are facing explosive situations. Literally. As students vie for popularity and good grades, a group of young supes discover something bigger and far more sinister happening at school, putting to the test if they'll become the heroes or the villains in their own stories. I was not excited for Gen V. As much as I love The Boys, all the marketing for this show felt like it was trying too hard. It wanted to be edgy. It wanted to be The Boys. It felt like Teen Titans, but for The Boys. And I have just come off being disappointed at the first spin-off to one of my favorite franchises just this past week. So I was entirely ready for disappointment. I was also fearful this show would look cheap and be tame on the violence and on the distinct raunchiness we know this franchise to have. This show looks fantastic. It looks just like The Boys. It's a seamless transition back and forth, and they use violence and gore for all the things, for laughs, for dark moments, for shocking moments, for fun surprises, for twisty surprises, and it also uses the powers of all these characters in very creative ways, very dark ways, very funny ways, and it uses also that college setting. These characters are young adults. They're in college. They're gonna be crazy. They're gonna be doing drugs. They're gonna be having sex. And how they use superpowers, we all saw the season 3 premiere of The Boys. This still has something new to offer. That's the creativity that I appreciate in that show, and I'm very happy it's alive and well in this one. There are certain moments of humor here and there where you're trying too hard at replicating something else we already saw, and it doesn't really land, but it's not bad by any means. This show does not have the nail-biting tension of The Boys. It does not have the comedic sharpness of The Boys. It does not have the scathing political commentary of The Boys, but it does have something new to offer as it organically expands on the events of the story we know, thrusting our characters right into the center of it. The time frame in this story is one of the best elements of Gen V, where it's picking right off from where The Boys Season 3 left off, so you already have an elevated sense of stakes and tension and an agitated political climate, and you see how college kids and college soup specifically are living all through it. Gen V as a show is keenly aware on our knowledge of the first 3 seasons of The Boys, to the point it isn't really the most welcoming show to new fans. But it uses that knowledge and twists our understanding of this world through the naive worldview of our characters, where thematically the show proposes, can these young heroes, before being corrupt by the world, actually be good, actually be heroes? Emma, Marie, Luke, Andre, Kate, Jordan, and Sam were all used as lab rats, and the show uses those worldviews, those traumas from the past, to explore their dynamics in very interesting ways, where immediately the show begins in a way that's ridiculous, it's raunchy, but it's dark and immensely traumatizing and somehow feels grounded in reality, which is what The Boys, this entire world, this entire franchise has always excelled at. And the show excels most when it's bringing all these characters down this rabbit hole and showing all the fun they can have with their superpowers as college kids, but really showing the dark side of it all because of how it ties into the larger world of Vought, into the corruption of this entire world, and how it brings other familiar faces throughout the show into this. The best one being Soldier Boy. Seriously, his cameo is spectacular. It's the show using that knowledge from its audience to poke fun at itself, to poke fun at its own world, at its own characters. The writing in general is solid, but the show truly excels at characterization and earning conflict through the dynamics established and fleshed out through the show. Every episode I was watching, I was like, this is my favorite character. No, wait, this is my favorite character. And it kept changing because all the characters are so good. And most of their powers are really fun to watch. Marie controls blood. Emma can shrink down in size, but how she has access to that power, it's part of that societal commentary that is so inherent to this show. Kate, as one of the most beautiful arcs so far. And then you have the other side of the coin in Luke, Sam, and Andre, who really don't have the most interesting powers, but how the show explores these characters and their dynamics with the others and makes them all immensely compelling. And it fits all these typical college character tropes and does something refreshing with them, does something new that fits right into this world. And as they're brought closer together, as they go down this rabbit hole, investigating this situation of what is going on, this trauma that is haunting Luke, Golden Boy, and Sam, and how everything is connected to the wider world of the boys, to the events of the quote-unquote main story, that's the richness of this show. On the other hand, however, you do have some moments where it's trying too hard. The comedy, when it hits, it's really good, but there are also quite a few moments where the comedy just isn't there. And the college setting is rich, it's an interesting expansion on this world, but while you have some subversion of certain tropes, and certain tropes are used well in this story, there are certain tropes that are just there, and they become very tiring very quickly. And while I can't dive into specifics, seeing how this story unravels and the twists and turns it takes, the sinister door it opens to explain certain story threads, I couldn't help but question that this show only exists to fill in certain gaps for the boys. Where I did fall in love with its unique set of characters, but this doesn't feel like the main event. This is opening doors that are strongly tying up to the boys. The characters themselves are too separated, while the story threads are inherently connected to where the boys has been building to so far and what it's set out to do next. And that just made for a very frustrating watch. As a great story thread is introduced, it ties into the boys so strongly, it veers on becoming a story thread introduced here only to be paid off in that other show. And that undermines the potential of these characters in their own story. Granted, they're part of this wider world and they can tie into everything else, and they do in this show, but there are certain moments, certain story elements that feel like they're just being introduced so another show can run with them, filling in all those gaps in between seasons of The Boys. Gen V works best when its own characters are forging their own path in this wider world of Vought. When it ties too strongly into The Boys, it only makes me wish I was watching The Boys and not a spin-off. But that about covers everything I can talk about with this show, otherwise Victoria Newman will make my head explode.
You have 5 minutes to make your opening statement.
So it's time for you to start the conversation about Gen V in the comments below. Are you excited for this series? Have you seen it by the time you caught this video? What are your thoughts on The Boys? Anything and everything down there. If you're enjoying this review, I have more reviews for the world of The Boys right up here. Or if you just want to talk more movies and TV, this is the place to be. Consider clicking that subscribe button and you won't miss any future conversation on your favorite movies and TV. While not packing quite the same narrative and thematic punch, Gen V offers a fresh coming-of-age story confronted by a bleakly cynical and corrupt reality while twisting the college setting tropes with a new perspective on the diabolical world of The Boys. I'm giving Gen V a B. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to share your thoughts on Gen V and all 3 seasons of The Boys in the comments down there. And big shout out to my channel members for always supporting the channel. I'll be back very soon with more videos. So until the next one, love each other and love the movies.